where on earth is the horizontal mezuzah? It's brought down by Rashi that the mezuzah is supposed to be completely vertical. Then it's brought down by his grandson, Rabbeinu Tam, that it's supposed to be horizontal. And so the Sephardim use the vertical, but the Ashkenazi use a diagonal mezuzah. Who uses the horizontal mezuzah? Nobody. I find this very strange that the compromise is accepted as the norm. The compromise between the vertical and the horizontal is accepted as the norm. Is my life one of compromise? Is that what I'm striving for? Am I striving for the middle way? If I did, I'd be some Oriental Confucius or something. Am I really striving just to get by? Or the best method to get by? And that's what kind of like a middle way implies. Middle, kind of like average, conservative way. Something between the two extremes. Something that's non-challenging. They use the vertical, maybe because it fits on the door. And maybe they use the horizontal because it fits on the door. But I want the diagonal because it fits on the door. I want the horizontal. How I found this horizontal is because that's the position of the two cherubim on the ark. It's the Netzach and Hod. It's kind of like a parallelism on a horizontal. And this is one of my objections to halakha to begin with. You know, halakha means the way to walk. And do they want you to be between the two extremes? You know, in a comfortable manner, how to get by? I want the essence of the halakha. I don't mind the middle way. I search for a middle way. You know what middle way I search for? I search for the shoshumna. I search for the kundalini down the middle. That it can only be balanced when the ida and the pingala, can only be aroused when the ida and the pingala are in balance and open. Is that the middle way here of halakha? I don't think so. I'm interested in the Yad Ramah, the third hand. How does the third hand appear? The third hand appears, again, down the center pillar. But that's not the middle way. When the Yad Gadola and the Yad Hazaka come together, then a third hand appears above the head. 5 fingers. This is special. I don't see people in the halakhic world with that special thing. I see it more as a compromise. That's maybe my problem. but I don't see it. My readings of the text show that there should be two mezuzot. There should be a vertical mezuzah and a horizontal mezuzah that forms a plus sign, which the Greek Orthodoxy took as their cross. And this is how I brought it up, or even thought of it. That's the whole idea of the LGTBQAA plus. The plus sign. This plus sign is more important than people think. The plus sign is everything, you see. The plus is a combination of the vertical and the horizontal. And when that occurs, then something happens. It's not a compromise. The diagonal slant is a compromise. I'm not interested in the compromise. I'm interested in something new. Now, I also see the vertical and the horizontal in tefillin. When you put the tefillin on your arm, I don't know if there's right or left arm on these videos. I'm completely confused. The arm tefillin doesn't go on the outside. You have to put it on the inside of the arm so that and then when you press it against the arm, it's horizontal to your heart. Makes a line with your heart. The block of the arm tefillin makes a line with your heart horizontally. To me, that's the horizontal line with the heart. Then, on the head tefillin, you put it here in the center, and it's part of a vertical line. So the vertical line is the head tefillin. The horizontal line is the arm tefillin. The yad, the hand tefillin, they call it the yad, the hand tefillin. So the point is, on the tefillin there are two. And on the mezuzot there should be two. In the same verse of the Shema, the first paragraph of the Shema, after the Shema it says, mezuzot beteka. Mezuzot beteka. Mezuzah is on your house. That means two. And when they talk about in the same paragraph the tefillin, they talk about the tefillin of the arm, and then they talk about the totafot in between the eyes. So in other words, there's two tefillin, and there's mezuzot of the beteka, two. It's two. It's tunis. The whole thing is tunis. And why is it tunis? Because when there's tunis, then a third comes in. They imply this in the slant of the mezuzah, but it's not as a compromise to me. And it's not as a both, it's something else. And even the slant in the mezuzah, which could be called the slant of the aleph, isn't good enough for me, because that's what we have now. We have the slant of the aleph now, as the aleph is written. But in the Olam Haba, after the Mashiach comes, the aleph will be written with a straight line. A yud on one side, a yud on the other, and a straight line down the middle. I just thought of something, because I had there's one yah, and then that vav is a 6, like a nose. So it's two hands, it's two yud, which is really a yad, two hands, and a vav down the middle, which is actually from 5 and 1. The letter Hey in full is Hey Aleph, that's 6. It's just like a Vav. Excuse me, I just had something to eat that didn't agree with me. But this is real time. So don't excuse me. I'm trying to make a parallel between the tefillin and the mezuzot. And what happens on the tefillin? After you've done the parallel of the arm tefillin, and then you've done the vertical of the head tefillin, what do? You wrap the yad around your hand tefillin. And that's the real deal. You know, I put my arm tefillin on sitting down. Then I stand up, put the head tefillin, and then I wrap my hand standing up. This is the highest aspect, the hand wrapping of the arm tefillin. If anything, that's the third. I'm looking for the third. I'm looking for the shoshumna in Judaism. I'm not looking for the compromise. I'm looking for something that isn't there. That's implied between the two, but not as a compromise between the two. Some energy between the two that can only be found in Tunis. And that's what the idea is of the cherubim. Cherubim, by the way, when spelt out, do it another time. The two cherubim give an energy that produces Hashem to speak between them. You see? The cherubim give the energy for Hashem to speak between them. That's, in the ark, in the Kedem, the east of the Garden of Eden, to block the Garden of Eden, what do? They put the cherubim and then the flaming sword in between. Again, a flaming sword is a vertical kind of concept. It goes either way, that's goes either way. That's the phallus. That's the yesod. So above the cherubim in the temple, it's the ferret, and down in the east of Eden, it's the yesod. And there's a parallelism between Tiferet and Yesod. Remember, Tiferet, we spelled Tov, Tov, squiggle Tov, 800. And Yesod is 80. Yud, and then Yud, and then Samek, that's 70, and then Vav Dalet. That's 80. So Yesod is 10 times, Tiferet as 800 is 10 times Yesod. The two of them come together and make 880. And there are 6 letters in this. 2 for Tov Tov, and 4 for Yesod. That's 400. It's 886, and that's the 3 spellings of Elohim. 300, 295, and 291. And so there's a parallelism here. You see? How the cherubim interact in both temple and over the ark, and how Hashem speaks between them, and down in the Garden of Eden. And remember, the Shia HaShirim is the conversation of the cherubim in the two ways back and forth. This is, to me, deep, because it parallels the mezuzot, it parallels the tefillin, it parallels a way that I've incorporated da'as into the 3 levels of Keta, Chokmah, and Bina. Because I've made Keta on top, and then Chokmah and Bina is parallel, see? And then Da'as. But what I've done is I've included a Vav in Da'as. Because when you can include in Vav and Da'as, the Gematria is 480. So to me it's Keta, Vadas, and Chokmah and Bina on right and left. And that's a cross. Keta, Das, Chokmah, Bina. The two cherubim, by the way, are also considered Chokmah and Bina when they have older faces, so to speak. It's a parallelism between Chokmah and Bina and Netzach and Hod as being on horizontals. And there's a parallelism between being Keta and Das. And that's this plus sign. The same plus sign that's on the lesbian, gay, bi, trans, two-spirit, asexual, plus. Remember, the Indians used 2 spirits, by the way. Plus. And the plus involves 2, a vertical and a horizontal. It's kind of simple here when you look at it that way. And there's the energy that comes from these 2 cherubim, from the two-ness energy of quite frankly, the one appears on the right, one appears on the left in this dimension, and when that occurs like that, it certainly looks like you know, energies that have to be in a parallelism. And what I'm interested in is the third thing. And if you think that that third thing is a horizontal slant to the mezuzah, then fine, put it up. I personally don't. If we're so sure to be the third thing rather than a compromise, then they wouldn't use it for the Sephardim for the vertical. But that's my thing now. My thing is that the cherubim are the real essences of Judaism that are overlooked. The cherubim are in a spiritual domain and have trouble materializing into faces or what they are. So, me personally, I think the cherubim transfers and goes into the hands. These two hands of the cherubim, the two lukos. The other thing about the horizontal and the vertical is it's paralleled in the synagogue. When the Torah goes up, you stand up. When the Torah gets put on the bima, you sit down. Vertical, horizontal. These are the deep aspects of Judaism that are not explored yet. And then we wonder why the Mashiach isn't here. But that's also why we shouldn't, as it says in the Shir HaShirim, don't ascend the wall before your time. Don't rush. Think of things in a 1,000-year framework. Don't think of things as now. I want it now. 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 No. Think of things in a timeless framework where your particular lifespan is only a link and an eternal chain where 1,000 years is like yesterday when it is past. When you think that way, then things will be proceeding accordingly. In a timeless time of truly an eternal present that needs no records in photographs or copyrights. When one thinks of the hands as the lukos, that you have the lukos, that you have the power of 10, which is divided into 2 5s. See? And that each world, there are 5 worlds. You have parallels of the 2 names of Hashem, Yud He Vav He and Elohim, Adonai Hu Ha Elohim. And that's why in my tennis I want to develop the left hand and the left side, which we have dormant here when people say, oh, I'm a righty. And when you understand all these aspects, then you'll approach the energetic. An energetic Judaism. An energetic that hasn't been discovered within the body yet. Isn't that what we want? Or do you want the compromise? How to get by? Check your insurance policies. Check your medical insurance. Make sure that you have a retirement fund. Make the compromises in marriage so that things are easy for you. The whole secret is the easy is the hard. Because you'll never get there. That's why anti-Semitism is the great blessing. Makes it a little bit difficult, you see. You know how people are looking at you, and they are. And to that, that's why halakha gets you by. But I'm looking at the essence of the halakha, because you're not satisfied with getting by. And that's what halakha actually brings you to. It brings you to a deeper essence, an aleph within the 60. Halakha's gematria is 60. And that aleph within the 60 is the 1 in 60, the bittul b'shishim, the echad b'shishim. And when you take that aleph out of the 60 and you put it as aleph, samech, you get ein sof. And when you reverse these two letters, you get samech, aleph, and that's sitra akra. And sitra akra is 480, and that's where we have the vadas, 480. To open up to a whole new dimension in the other side. Now these last few days, the last minutes have been of a completely different nature than the other minutes of the sikos. Of the dimension of speech. And that's the way things are. You warm up. You warm up for anything. Or when you play music, after a while, it's a meditation. And it opens up to a different dimension. And that's what the whole secret is, to open up to the different dimensions. There are 5 dimensions within you. 5, like the fingers, and there are 5 circles. 5 worlds, it's a spiral. There's the Osea world, the Yetzira world. The Bria world, the Atzilio world, and then there's another world that is the source of these. The Adam Kadmon world. And they're in the hands. And that's why you're called a Yid. Yud Dalet. Or Yad. And that's the development. That's why a baby sucks his thumb. This is an energetic Judaism. Which I am going to keep talking about. A Judaism of the heart of hearts, of the secrets. Something that we're all looking for. but blocked from, especially in synagogue usage. Sitting in those pews for hours listening to a language that nobody understands. Nobody. And fast. And mumble. I'm interested in the origin of the Greek cross. Not the longer cross, but the Greek cross, not the Christian, the Roman cross, but the Greek cross, the plus sign. Saying, funny, a person like me who should be so interested in negative numbers is interested in the plus sign. Because within the plus sign, there's the negative sign, and that's the horizontal. Again, because I'm talking so long, the horizontal line of the plus sign is the negative. And that's what I'm trying to open up into. The power of the negative. The real, the mamish. How people view you, and especially in this kind of world we're living in, as a consumer. So you are to them. You have an unlimited sauce. Are you living up to your energy? Or have you listened to the masses? And I don't mean the masses in the Christian church. Have you listened to all those who have already compromised? Who live in the slant of the mezuzah? Huh? And then diagonal of the mezuzah. Do you want to be the compromised in your years of TikTok?